What's up, guys? This is Nick Benson. You can follow me on Twitter at PackerNation2K. Just back today for another episode of the Pack Nation podcast, episode 2. We're going into week 7 now. The Packers have a big game coming up here on Sunday against the Washington football team. But the Packers are coming off of a great win, obviously, on Sunday over division rival Chicago Bears on the road. Just a great, very important win all around. The Packers have a tough schedule coming up here after next week. Going to Arizona, going to Kansas City back-to-back weeks, and then you've got some other great teams there to end the season. So it's very important for the Packers to be stacking up some wins right now, and it's even more impressive that they've been doing it despite the fact that they've sustained so many injuries and whatnot. So got to give the Packers a lot of kudos for that win on Sunday. And as Aaron Rodgers said, I still own you. He owns the Bears. I mean, there's not much else to be said about it. He's 22-5 against them in his career, which is mind-blowing that he's had so much success against one opponent. This is the oldest rivalry in NFL history. Before Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre came into town, the Bears had a significant lead in the rivalry, and now the Packers have a nice little lead. So it's crazy, just the way the Packers have dominated this rivalry over the past, 30 years, and especially since Aaron Rodgers took over as starter in 2008. So, talking about that game on Sunday, it wasn't a cakewalk. It wasn't an easy victory. Packers go down 7-0 early. The pass rush was getting to Aaron Rodgers, and, the defense was not able to stop the Bears at all on the Bears' first possession. And then Isaac Yiadom was getting cooked, and the team, ended up benching him for Rasul Douglas. And, I mentioned in the episode last week that I liked Rasul Douglas better than Isaac Yiadom, and I thought that, he'd be the better option. And I think the team chose to start Yiadom because he's been with the team longer, and they've maybe felt like they'd seen more from him. And Rasul Douglas, just got into town, not even 2 weeks before this game. So, the team felt comfort there. But obviously when Yiadom got called for pass interference after giving up a big catch already in that first drive, I think the team knew Rasul Douglas had potential, knew that he's done some good things in his career, and they went to him, and he played well. And I look at this defense's performance as a whole in that game, and the red zone defense is still a major issue. I mean, you cannot allow your opposition to score on 100% of red zone trips. I mean, that just can't happen. And if it keeps happening going forward, it's going to be a problem. But that being said, the defense has played pretty well if they don't allow the other team into the red zone. And, in this game, obviously this season you've been without two of your very best defensive players in Zadarius Smith and Jair Alexander. And then not only that, in this game, you lose Preston Smith. Kevin King was already out. Darnell Savage goes out. So that leaves you without your top 2 edge rushers, leaves you without your top 2 cornerbacks. Now that's debatable because Eric Stokes has surpassed Kevin King, but regardless, the guy who would be starting next to him, with Alexander out, and then you lose your free safety. So you're looking at that, and I mean, if you would have said that to me, before the season, that we'd be without those guys on defense, I would have thought that our defense would have been one of the worst in the league at this point. That's just me. Like I said, that's just me being completely honest with you. But they came through, and you got to give props to some of these unsung heroes that they've had playing out there lately. And one name to me that is not getting near enough buzz, who's been playing really well this year, is edge rusher John Gardner. A guy in 2020 was a 7th round pick out of Miami, was an I would say a decently known draft prospect going into that draft. A lot of people thought he'd be a mid-round pick. Fell to the Packers in the 7th round. A guy who had a lot of physical ability, a guy that had a good college career at Miami, but for whatever reason, like I said, fell. And he last year doesn't get much playing time, but this year, the team needs him with Za'Darius Smith's injury and now with Preston Smith's injury, and it was just him and Gary, taking the bulk of the snaps along with Ladarius Hamilton a little bit on Sunday, and he's been making plays. He's been rushing the passer well. He's been decent against the run. I mean, I don't know how you can't be pleased with what you're seeing out of John Garvin right now, and it's just, you got to give props to Brian Gutekunst for finding him in the draft in the 7th round and finding a guy, who had slid that far for whatever reason, taking a chance on him and going with it. It's just been a great find. And, like I already mentioned, Russell Douglas stepping up big. Dean Lowry had a good game, and, he's a guy who's had a lot of criticism thrown his way from Packers fans the last few years. A lot of people thought he would have been cut before this year, early this season. A lot of people just talk about him as if, he's a replacement level starter. And, I'm not going to sit here and just say that he's a perfect player or that he's a star by any means, but, he came through in this game, had a really big sack on Fields, and he's been playing really well lately. This run defense has low-key been much better this year than it was last year, and I think that does have a lot to do with Vondre Campbell and the presence he brings at inside linebacker. Best inside linebacker they've had in years, if you ask me. Maybe the best one since Desmond Bishop. But, Dean Lowry's been playing well. Vondre Campbell, I mean, there's not much more you can say about him. This guy's sideline to sideline. He's big, he's fast, he makes plays. 2 interceptions already through 6 games. Just been a vocal leader in the middle of that defense. He's been reliable, been a godsend there. So overall, got to be pleased with this defense and how they responded. You really hope that you get some of these guys back from injury soon. Hopefully Preston's injury isn't too serious. If it is, you just got to rely on John Garvin to step up and keep stepping up, and, Rashawn Gary to keep playing well and hopefully maybe get some more sacks in there. But I mean, pressures are very good too, so you can't complain about that. Looking at this offense, I already touched on the defense here, but the offense, I had a much cleaner game than I thought we've seen from them this year. This Sunday, they moved the ball well. They didn't give up on the run game like they had in previous games. And then when it came down to it at the end of the game, when the Bears cut the lead to 17-14 with, I think there was 8, 9, 10 minutes left in the game at that point, Packers take over possession, and it was crucial there. Bears had some momentum on their side, and, the Packers get the ball back, and, in a few of these other games this year, feel like they would have, had either gone 3 and out, had just a couple first downs, had to punt or settled for a field goal. But no, they went down the field, got the touchdown. Ultimately, Aaron Rodgers got the "I still own you" moment, which was once again glorious. I don't know how many times I've watched that since Sunday. It was epic, and you can buy shirts for it now, which is pretty sweet, and I'm debating getting one. But anyways, offense did look good, and I clamored for it in my last week's episode to get Allen Lazard the ball more. I also mentioned they should get Big Bob Tonyan the ball more, and that still hasn't happened. But anyways, Allen Lazard played well, finally got his touchdown. It was awesome to see. He had a few other first down catches. It's great to see a guy who just does so much for the team as a blocker, steps up on special teams, big physical guy, great locker room guy, selfless. It's great to see him make an impact in the receiving game. And it's not just, like the team, should just reward him just because he's a good blocker. This guy is a good player. He's reliable. You can move the sticks with him. He can beat you deep on occasion. Just a good football player. And, I hope the team continues to get him more involved in the offense, and I really do believe that they will. He said on Clubhouse Live last night, the first touchdown's the hardest, and, that seems to be true of a lot of guys. So hopefully he continues to get more involved in this offense because this team could use him. Randall Cobb, had the goose egg. It was kind of interesting that he didn't get involved at all. Well, Aaron Rodgers got his first catch from Aaron Rodgers for a first down, which was pretty cool to see. But, Cobb, you had that big game against Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, and then he obviously had that huge catch on the game-winning drive against Cincinnati, but, has a goose egg yesterday. But, Allen Lazard took over, and the team, wasn't force-feeding guys. Davante Adams had his usual big catches, didn't have a monster day, but it's nice to know you can win without Davante Adams going for over 200 yards, or even 100 for that matter. Aaron Jones continues to do his thing. You talk about Aaron Jones, this guy, they say don't pay a running back, and, I was kind of on that train before this season. I don't know if you should pay a running back, even though I loved Aaron Jones and wasn't going to complain if they got him back because he's so dynamic, but this guy does so much for this offense. I mean, as a runner, as a receiver, he blocks well. He's a great locker room guy. And you look at this guy on film, I mean, his cuts are insane. His vision is insane. He's the rare running back that it's good to pay. And, he came through big in this game once again. Had that awesome Madden dive on his touchdown, and that could have come back to cost him because he didn't see a Bears defender was coming up right behind him and could have stripped him, but ultimately it didn't happen and he learned from it. But it was still awesome to see regardless. I loved seeing him do that Madden dive. So gotta love it. AJ Dillon, has been a great compliment to him. You really have a true thunder lightning duo there with Jones and Dillon, and gotta love what you're seeing from the Packers running game right now. And, you even have a guy like Kylan Hill, who super talented kid, great college tape, but had a great camp and preseason. And Matt LaFleur still talks glowingly about him in his press conferences, even though he's not getting much playing time. He's done a nice job of returning kicks. But the team will need him at some point this year, and it's nice to know you got a guy like that, even behind that great duo they have right now. So on the offensive line, it was good to see Elton Jenkins back. He did give up a sack, but this Bears pass rush is no joke. We knew going into the game it was no joke, and you can't really fault him much for that. Elsewhere, some of the guys on the line struggled a little bit. I thought Royce Newman definitely had a couple rookie moments. Some communication issues there. So he's going to need to be held accountable for that. But, as a rookie, you can forgive a guy for a couple of mistakes like that. Josh Myers comes back and goes down in this game, but I thought Lucas Patrick came off the bench well and played a lot better than he did against Cincinnati. It's great to have a guy like Lucas Patrick who you can rely on in a pinch. He's going to give his all. He's nasty out there. He's going to push guys into the ground and not apologize for it. You can't have enough gritty guys like that on the field, and you need a guy like that on your offensive line to give us some attitude. So, and if Josh Myers is out long-term, and I suspect he's going to be out at least a few weeks here, Lucas Patrick's a guy you can feel confident in stepping in there and playing admirably. And I really do feel now as if center might be his best position, might be better than guard. So David Bakhtiari now is practicing this week, which is a great sign. You got to love the fact that 69 is coming back and hopefully soon. We don't know for a fact if he's going to play this week, but if he did, that would be awesome. We didn't know for a fact, though, that he will be back soon, I would say. And it's going to be an interesting conversation to have for what the Packers are going to do with their offensive line when Bakhtiari comes back, because they have a few options here. If you ask me who I think the 5 best Packers offensive linemen are when healthy, David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Billy Turner, John Runyon Jr., and Josh Myers. Now, with Myers' injury, there may not be a need to have a conversation about who, is going to play in there, because, he's going to have to, Lucas Patrick is going to have to play anyways. But, or maybe not Lucas Patrick, maybe they move someone else inside. But, one thing I think they might do, if he is out, they might put Elton Jenkins at center, because we know he can play every position on the offensive line and play it well. And in that scenario, I would expect them to have Bakhtiari at left tackle, and then, keep Runyon at left guard. Once again, Jenkins at center, Newman at right guard, and Billy Turner at right tackle. Another option is having Lucas Patrick come in and play center. That means one of those guards will have to be kicked out because Elton Jenkins is playing guard. In that scenario, it's whoever the Packers like better between John Runyon Jr. and Royce Newman. I like Runyon Jr. better right now. I think he's playing great football this year, but the team seems to really like Newman. And I mean, I like Newman too, but the rookie mistakes he had on Sunday kind of give me a little bit of trepidation there with him. But yeah, they have some decisions to make there. And do you move like a John Runyon Jr. to right guard to kick Royce Newman out of the lineup? Offensive linemen will talk about having a preferred side. So we'll see what they do with that. Some questions to be answered, but regardless, it's a great problem to have. It's a luxurious problem to have, because most teams can't field 5 quality starters, where the Packers can field more than 5. I mean, they got multiple guys who can play. So, and there goes my Devontae Adams poster. But anyways, this team is looking good right now at 5-1. Gonna need to get some guys back. This Washington football team game next week is gonna be very crucial that the team comes back strong and doesn't take it for granted, and they come back quick a week after, like that following Thursday night, play at Arizona, the only undefeated team in football right now. So get this win, get to 6-1. Washington, they're not a great team right now, but they still do have some talent on that team. Taylor Heineke, we know that he almost knocked off Tom Brady in the NFC Championship. In the NFC wildcard game last year. He's got something to him. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, he's a beast there for them at receiver. And even though that defense has been very disappointing this year, they still have, a lot of talent on it, including Chase Young, who's still a great player on the edge. So Packers better bring their A game. I'm happy that they're going to be wearing those sweet alternate jerseys for this game, the greens with the yellow numbers. It's going to be sick. I'm going to be, have eye candy the whole time just watching it. It's going to be great. But yes, like I said, get this win down the stretch. A lot of tough games. So Packers just got to keep chugging along. Hopefully you get healthy. The bye week isn't for another 7 weeks. So that's kind of sucks, but they're putting themselves in a good position right now, though. So when you stack wins early in the year, you can afford to maybe drop a game or 2 late in the year if you have to. So one other note I wanted to talk about is Corey Bojorquez, Boho Blast. That dude, best punter we've seen for the Packers in a long time. Maybe the best that I've ever seen in my years of fandom. That dude had an 82-yard punt. Like, 82 yards. And, unfortunately it rolled into the end zone, but if that would not have rolled into the end zone, if that would have been downed at the 3 or something like that, wow. I mean, I know he's just a punter and we don't always like talking about special teams, but this guy has been a godsend for the Packers. It's been great watching them, flip the field like they have after struggling in the punter department for so many years. So you gotta love it. You gotta love, that Mason Crosby had a bounce back game as well, after that struggle he had against Cincinnati. And he's a guy you have confidence in is going to come back because he's a pro. So, all right. Well, thanks again for watching today, guys. Once again, you can follow me on Twitter at PackerNation2K. Thanks for watching. If you could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, go Pack, go. Thanks, guys.